Okay. My name is Zixi, a PhD student from Nanjing University and the first author of this paper. This work is a joint work between Nanjing University, the Chinese University of Hong Kong, and ETH Zurich. Before we dive into our study, let me briefly introduce some key features of the Rust programming language. First is memory safety. In C program, diagonal pointers can easily lead to UB because once a variable goes out of the scope, the memory is no longer valid. However, for Rust, diagonal references are rejected at compile time. Second is ownership. Double free errors may occur because of improper manual memory management. In Rust, we have automatic ownership management. Third is the lifetime. In C program, returning a reference to a local variable can lead to UB because the variable goes out of scope. As for Rust, it uses lifetime to check and to prevent such errors. So how does Rust enforce these language mechanisms? The credit goes to the compiler. In the rustc pipeline, two unique intermediate representations, HIR and MIR, plays a key role. HIR means the high-level IR. It's more like an AST and is mainly used for analysis related to type checking, such as type reference and trait solving. MIR is the mid-level IR, which is closer to LLVM IR and captures control flow information, making it suitable for borrow checking and optimizations. Let's compare rustc with clone. The unique part of the pipeline from AST to HIR, where analyses are performed based on HIR, and then to MIR, where further analysis and optimizations take place. This corresponds to the semantic analysis and IR processing stages in the compiler. Our study mainly focuses on this part of rustc. Based on this, we formulate 4 research questions. RQ1 asks about the main cause of the rustc bug, the frequency of these bugs, and which stage or components are more prone to bugs. RQ2 investigates the symptoms of these bugs, how frequent they are, and the relationship between causes and symptoms. RQ3 investigates the characteristic of bug-revealing test cases and what test settings are required to trigger rustc bugs. Finally, RQ4 examines the existing testing techniques for rustc, what kind of bugs they can detect, and their limitations. For our study, we looked at issues from the official Rust GitHub repository. We select issue labels that are relevant to our study. We also exclude issues related to the compiler backend because we are interested in the Rust unique parts. To be specific, the analysis and optimizations based on HIR and MIR. Our dataset covers all closed issues between 2022 to 2025. We first filtered out irrelevant cases manually and finally collected 301 valid issues together with their corresponding pull requests. Our labeling process has 2 phases. In phase 1, we start with a set of predefined labels. 2 authors independently label the issues and then discuss the inconsistency and refine the label definition. In phase 2, the same 2 authors relabel all the bugs. If there is a disagreement, a third author is involved and they reach consensus through discussion. Now, let's move on to RQ1. We divided the bug causes into 4 classes. The first category is related to the type system, which accounts for about 30%. The second is caused by ownership issues, making up around 15%. The third is from the MIR optimization stage, also about 15%. And finally, the general errors, which take about 40%. These general errors are not unique to Rust. They often caused by such as improper error handling or issues caused by the environment. Similar problems may occur in other kinds of software as well. Because of time limit, I'll just show one example of the bug caused by MIR optimization. In this test case, there is a match branch, and inside this branch, it calls the standard library API unreachable unchecked. This API tells the compiler that this branch should never be executed. So the expected behavior is that the call to unwrap gets in line directly. Since the variable A is always none, the program should panic right away without going through any branch checks. But actually, rustc still generated the discriminate check, which means that the optimization didn't behave as intended. The root cause of the bug is that inlining unreachable unchecked can create duplicate unreachable blocks. To handle this, the rustc developers added checks and merging logic to duplicate blocks in 2 different optimization passes. However, because the order of these 2 passes was not correct, the merge algorithm was never actually triggered. So the fix was to adjust the order of these optimization passes to make sure that the duplicate blocks get merged properly. Here we show the distribution of bugs across different modules of rustc. We notice that the bugs related with the type system are spread across almost stages. From figure B, we can see that the majority of bugs are in HIR and are due to the type checking. For the MIR-based core modules, most bugs are caused by MIR transformations during optimization. Both HIR and MIR, about 50%, in both HIR and MIR, about 50% of bugs come from the diagnostic modules, which is responsible for generating error message and suggestion for developers. Now let's move on to the bug symptoms. We classify them into several categories, including crashes, correctness issues, miscompilations, diagnostic issues, and misoptimization. The crash bug can be divided into front-end panic and back-end crashes. And there is a unique symptom for rustc is that the safe rust code triggers UB. Because Rust is supposed to guarantee memory safety, any safe Rust program that can trigger rustc that can trigger a UB means that there is a rustc bug. Finally, the performance-related bugs are quite rare in our dataset, probably because such bugs are harder to detect and often require more specialized workloads. Now let me share 2 examples of miscompilation bugs. The first example is a program that produces different outputs under different optimization levels. This indicates a rustc bug because optimization should not change the program's output behavior. The second example, which I mentioned earlier, involves a program written entirely in safe Rust that was flagged by MIRI for UB. MIRI is a specialized tool for detecting UB. This issue was later confirmed and fixed by the rustc team. Now let's move on to RQ3, which focuses on the characteristics of test cases. We have extracted ASTs of all test cases and then count the item and type nodes. For types, you can see that the path takes up a large proportion. This is because it represents fully quantified type names. From these results, we observe that test cases triggering rustc bugs often involve complex type usage, especially trace and generics. This table shows some key characteristics we extracted from the test cases. We found that about 25% of bug-triggering test cases contained unstable features. These test cases also frequently make use of advanced trait patterns, and many of the common unstable features are related to traits. In addition, a large number of test cases that trigger rustc bugs contain lifetime annotations. Finally, we report the length of the test cases. Even very short test cases can trigger rustc bugs. This is consistent with findings from other compiler studies. Next, we move on to RQ4, the existing rustc testing tools. There are 3 open source fuzzers in the community. They generate invalid programs to trigger compiler crashes. The most well-known tool, IceMaker, has reported hundreds of bugs. From the academic side, rustmist can generate valid program, but it is limited to basic syntax and does not cover advanced features such as trace and generics. rustc'25 generates valid MIR to detect the optimization bugs. However, half of the detected bugs actually come from the back-end LLVM rather than rustc itself. We also show the distribution of bug symptoms and bug causes across testing tools. From Figure A, we can see that existing rustc testing tools mainly focus on detecting crash bugs, except for rustc', which can catch some miscompilation. Most other bug types cannot be detected by current tool. From Figure B, we can see that the current tools detect very few bugs related to the type system or lifetime mechanisms. To conclude, let me summarize our main findings. First, we found that the HIR and MIR stages are particularly error-prone. Many bugs involve the type system, lifetimes, traits, and MIR optimizations. Second, rustc shows some unique bug symptoms. For example, the safe rust cause UB are specific bug symptoms. Third, the diagnostic module still needs improvement. About 20% of bugs are related to the diagnostics, where errors are scattered and sometimes misreported. Finally, existing testing tools mainly focus on crash bugs, and non-crash bugs such as soundness and completeness issues are largely missed. Based on our findings, we propose some suggestions for future research. For developers, we suggest to use stable features and the default optimizations, and maybe report issues to help improve rustc. For compiler developers, stronger testing across HIR and MIR, as well as better support for new features, is crucial. And for researchers, there is a clear need for program generators that can cover advanced Rust features such as traits, generics, and lifetimes. That's all for my presentation. Thank you, everyone, for listening.
Thank you. We have questions. Yes, and the questions are next to the microphone. Yeah, thank you. So we can take now 2 questions, I think.
Thank you for your talk. Could you please explain the category of bugs that's called safe rust causes undefined behavior? Because how do you know that it was safe rust and not some dependent unsafe code?
Yeah, because we have we use actually all these issues are sorry. Okay, let me change to the. So first of all, we all these bugs are collected from the Rust GitHub repository. So they have reported that they found undefined behavior, and most of the time, the undefined behavior are found by a tool named Miri. Yeah, and Miri is a specialized tool for detecting undefined behaviors for Rust program. Yeah.
Okay, so it was like confirmed with repository authors. Yeah.
Yeah.
These errors. Okay, makes sense.
We have one time for one last quick question. Sorry.
Yeah, it is very quick. So, have you seen any or studied any bugs related to LLVM? Because, for example, Rust, I think, famously had a difference in how it considered no progress infinite loops with LLVM, and a bunch of bugs was caused, just as a case.
I understand that. We have done the investigation, and we found that very little studies focus on LLVM bugs. But some of the empirical studies focus on such as C++ compilers, such as Clown and GCC. Yeah, not very. We don't have seen very specific studies for LLVM compilers.
I see. Thank you.